Yep, we're live. We're back. The Jew Review crew, Roland Jean Charles, 1/3 of the Jew Review crew.
What's going on? It's Ken, Jean Pierre, 2/3 of the Jew Review crew.
Yeah, so 3/3. The Harold ain't around. He's somewhere in New Orleans trying to get his do his best Stella impersonation, getting his groove back. Anyway, bro. So I saw this story and I thought it was interesting, man. So this dude, Damar Hamlin, he's a defensive player for the Buffalo Bills. He's either a safety or corner, something like that. I'm pretty sure he's a safety. So there's a play. He went, got the tackle. Dude hit him in the chest. Took dude down. Dude got up, fell right back down again. Everybody got worried. People came running to the field. Medical staff came. Ambulance came. They suspended the game. Monday Night Football. Game canceled. Everybody going home. Dude goes to the hospital. They put him in a medical induced coma for a couple of days, 3 days. This was Monday night. Thursday, this dude wakes up. And the first question he asks, I already told you because we had this conversation. This dude gets up and he asks, did the Bills win the game? He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't ask God for forgiveness. He didn't ask the doctor whether he's gonna live or die. He didn't ask for his mama. He didn't ask for his kids. He was like, yo, did we win? I'm like, yo, this is a dedicated motherfucker, yo. On the brink of death. He wakes up. He's like, did we win? What the fuck?
It goes to show you, man. I mean, look, I don't know. I don't know how I feel saying this because that man just went through, a traumatizing, life-threatening, just brink of death experience. So I don't wanna be the dude to come at it from this angle, but it goes to show you, bro, like we dedicated to the wrong things, we are dedicated to, did the Bills win the game? That's like, the first thing that comes to my mind is just like, like when you have a job, right? They always say, like, if you have a job, and I'm not talking about NFL, but I'll bring it back to make my point. When you have a job and they say, like, if something happens to you today, your job will be posted tomorrow. They'll be looking at your replacement, for your position tomorrow. Your position will be filled tomorrow. And this dude, now granted, he spent his whole life playing football. This is what he dreamed of as a little kid. This is what he's worked hard for and everything like that. But, you're on the brink of death, man. And it's like, your perspective can't beat football. I mean, damn. They got your chokehold. That check got that chokehold so bad. They got you, cooning and running and jumping so bad that the first thing you come out is you want to know that the Bills win the game. Now, granted, I'm sure the Bills were concerned. I'm sure that they provided him with the best possible medical establishments known to man and medical assistance known to man. But damn, like you say, he got kids. I don't know his situation. He got kids.
I don't know if he has kids. That didn't come out, so I don't know whether he has kids or not.
I mean, you gotta have something that you care about, bro.
But then again, this guy is 24 years old, right? So he is in the prime of his life, and at that age, you feel.
Is he really though? Is he really?
Bro, he's 24.
Is 24 really the prime?
Yeah, bro.
I mean, what are we talking about though? Prime physically?
Definitely prime physically.
Yeah, prime physically. Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, so 24.
Prime mentally, I don't think so.
Prime financially, because of his his athletic abilities. He's in his prime physically, in his prime financially.
Well,
Now,
yeah, but I brought up mentally.
right. So that's the third leg, right? Third leg, and I don't know him, so I don't know where he's at mentally. I can
No, but
deduce that
generally speaking, in most cases,
I but he's not the most case, right? He is an elite athlete, right? And so he may not be mentally sound. He may be. I don't know, right? I've never met the guy, never spoke to him. I'm only surmising that he's in a prime of his life physically because he is an elite athlete in a major sport, and financially because they get paid a lot of money to do what he does, right? So I can't speak to his mental state because I've never spoken to him. I don't know him. I've never heard him utter a word. Right. So I can't speak on that. I mean, we can assume that, because most men at that age are still developing and
right.
they're not there. But that's not for everyone, right? He may be the outlier, but I can't say for sure. What I will say is this though. Um, Whenever you go through a traumatic experience like that, sometimes you have to laugh to keep from crying, right? You got to stay positive. And maybe, him waking up and asking about the game is something that um, brings joy to him, right? Makes him think about something other than the fact that he almost died, because that's a very challenging and very, I mean, it's a very scary thing to go through, right? And maybe he hasn't even absorbed what happened to him yet, right? Maybe he's just waking up and he's like, like he's still like trying to figure out what happened to him, right? So we don't know. When he gets better and he starts talking, he'll explain his mind and his mental state. He probably will never play football again. I can't imagine anyone letting him back on the field after having a cardiac arrest like that. I mean, when Chris Bosh had heart murmurs or some type of stuff happened with his heart, they never let him play basketball again. Right? No team signed him again. The Heat didn't play him again. From the time they found out he had an issue with his heart, he became a pedestrian. And so that was Chris Bosh, and Chris Bosh didn't pass out anywhere, right? So I can imagine with this guy, his football career is more than likely over. Hopefully, he'll be able to transition into some other parts of life and still be able to make a success of himself, right? So hopefully that would
Well,
be the case.
continued success. I mean, because to reach that level of athleticism, the highest pinnacle of football that you can play, I mean, he has reached that level of success.
Right,
Much continued success to him.
right.
My only thing is this, like, I just, you work so hard, right?
Mm,
And it goes back to, you put your life on the line and you almost die. And you got to understand, he's getting paid handsomely. Don't get me wrong, but he's only getting paid that because he's part of something that's generating 20 times whatever he's earning, or possibly more. You know what I mean? And it's like when you put that, when you look at it from that perspective, it's like, you put your life on the line and you put your body on the line, and it's like it could be over just like that. And for him to come out that coma and that be the first words, I mean, like you said, maybe it was just comedic relief, maybe it was just the way he handles things, and maybe that's just his personality. I couldn't fathom, like, waking up and that being the first thing on my mind, bro. I mean, you know I mean, granted, I got things that I love, but maybe me being a father, maybe me being, um, a person who has, responsibilities and things like that. Like, I'm looking at it from my lens and my perspective. That's just It's just a little worrisome that where are our where's our mental state in terms of, like, self-care and self-worth and building our own instead of building someone else's. Like, and that's a whole different discussion. But
Right.
just the fact that, whoever that Bills owner is or whatever the case may be is profiting off of him. Now, if he would have passed, God forbid, that profit wouldn't have stopped. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He would have got it. There would have been somebody, maybe they would have retired his jersey or whatever they would have did as far as a ceremony or whatever. But I guarantee you, next week, somebody was going to be playing that free safety position. They wasn't going to show up with 10 people on the
Right.
field.
Right.
So it's like, you know what I'm saying? When you look at it from that perspective, bro, a lot of the times we got men, women that dedicate their lives to a company and give the company 20 years of their life. And then it's like, you gotta take care of your family. You gotta take care of things that are, important to you, man, because the second that you aren't able to produce and generate that income stream that makes sense for them to validate whatever it is that they're paying you, you will be replaced.
Right.
And that's the harsh reality. That's the harsh reality, bro. And being a part of someone who's worked in corporate America, I've adopted that mentality probably about 5, 6, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. That damn, I am just a number. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how hard I try to figure out, how I'm going to be the best version of myself and be the most productive at whatever it is that I'm doing. At the end of the day, one false move or one thing can happen to me and I'll be replaced tomorrow. So I always take that into perspective, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's definitely something that I think about a lot. But prayers up for that man. I hope he, has a 100% recovery. And I think you're right in terms of like the doctors. Probably, I don't know the doctor who's going to want to sign off on that. You know what I mean? And then say, oh yeah, he's good to go. And then, God forbid something else happens to him.
Nah, he's done. He
You know
done.
what I mean? So I don't see nobody signing off on that. But you know, I hope he's just able to get up, walk, talk, and be a normal human being and be a productive human being from this point on still, because cardiac arrest can do a lot of things as far as mentally, physically. So hopefully he recovers and have a full recovery.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Definitely agree with that. So we haven't spoken in a while, although, Harold and I have spoken. So how was your New Year's, man? How was what'd you do for New Year's?
Oh man, I did some really boring family man stuff, bro.
Oh, you know.
Which is cool. Which is cool. That's listen, I'm not trying to impress anybody no more. I think the days of me being out in the streets on New Year's is kind of like, I don't know about that, man. It's especially when in the parts of in New York City, it's different. You know what I mean? So, unless you're going to be spending New Year's somewhere else, it's quite. And I live in a pretty nice area, but it's just it's just the crowd of people that's out on that day. Um, not really my mix. And
Right.
so I stayed home with the kids, man. I brought in New Year's with the family,
Mm.
and we chilled. I think I played Monopoly, man. I did some real boring shit. So
I was out I was out in Houston getting footage for a Jew review. And so I went out there. I mean, I take times like New Year's and Thanksgiving and other holidays as time for family as well, and I try to catch up with my cousins from other states. And so me and one of my cousins, we went out to Houston, and it was a cool vibe. I got a lot of Juby View reviews that I'm going to be uploading to this channel. Um, and I think I like the direction that Juby View that we're taking Juby View, and I put a couple of suggestions of some improvements that we're going to be doing um, for the app. But we definitely need more content. We definitely need more users, which is why I want to make sure that we have this podcast going in the right direction, in uniform, and it's bringing people an audience that's going to go and download the app. So I got to build this channel a little bit, and with you and Harold working together with me, I think we'll be able to do that pretty successfully. And we got some things we got to talk about probably offline, because there's a couple of meetings we want to do this year. I have some attorneys that want to talk to us about some getting this more, I guess, protected. And so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Probably schedule a meeting after Howard comes back, maybe at the end of January. He's coming back next week sometime. So sometime after he gets back, maybe before tax season starts, because I know he's gonna be pretty busy during then. So that we can go ahead and get that together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so for today, I thought we'd just shoot the shit about different topics, right? And so I brought up some news articles, and I'm just gonna ask your opinion on some things. So you care, you don't care? Young Thug and his Rico case. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
I don't give a goddamn. I like his music, but I mean, you know why? I'm gonna explain to you why. Right?
Tell me. I'm listening. Ask your opinion. Tell me why.
I'm gonna tell you why I don't care, because
Tell me why you mad, son. Tell me why you
there's just a level of stupidity that just is beyond me, bro. And it's like I like we was all in that position where when we grew up, we had all our boys or whatever the case may be, but as we started getting to our careers and things like that, certain people just didn't make the cut, bro. Certain people just like, you know what I mean, that I used to hang with just didn't make the cut, man. Just the direction that I was going in my life.
Mm.
It wasn't going to be conducive to my life to continue that relationship. And it's like, for the life of me, I can't understand these dudes. You know what I mean? Yo, you 28, 29, 30 years old with kids and stuff like that. You've worked your way into a position where you built yourself to a point where you got generational wealth that's going to help you and your family and your loved ones and your cousins, and you could put people in position, and you know what I mean? And you still want to try to prove that you hard. You still want to try to prove that you still street or whatever. Like, yo, if you was street and you really live that life or whatever the case may be, cool. Everybody had to do what they had to do to get to where they at. All right, cool. But once the smart ones always do the street thing to get to somewhere else, to go legit, to do something else. Like and I always I go back to Power. I go back to Ghost. Ghost was always, you know what I'm saying? Ghost was always, he was always on that, he had that other plane, that other level that he was thinking on, where he was like, yo, I'm gonna put my money in this club, I'm gonna try to go legit. I mean, even if he failed miserably or whatever, it didn't work out how his plan was supposed to go, but you could see he was trying to transition. For the life of me, yo, Young Thug has been around since what, 2014, 2013, maybe 2012? Bro, it's a decade later. Why you still got dudes in the gas station selling drugs? Like, what are you doing? It's a decade later. You've made millions and millions upon millions. Why is it that you feel like you still got to try to be connected to this whole life that you should have put behind you years ago? It makes no sense to me. So I don't care. because it's ridiculous and it's stupid. And it's like, yo, how, this imaginary kingpin that you're trying to be is now going to cost you. You're going to pay millions and millions of dollars in lawyer fees if you make it out. And
He
if
ain't
you
making
do,
that, bro.
that's the whole thing. He's probably not coming out because it's like, people are rolling over on him, and they're supposed to go to trial like real soon on the 9th, I think it is. And people rolling over on him like crazy. And so it's the thing about it is, it's like, you was doing all of this for dudes that didn't really have the loyalty for you. I mean, there is no street code or street ethics anymore. So, like, what is the point? What is the end game here? I mean, you mean to tell me the little money that you're making on this little side, gig or whatever side hustles that you putting these dudes in, you not making that on one show? I read somewhere that he was bragging maybe like a year or two ago, maybe during like right before the pandemic or maybe right after the pandemic, that this dude got paid $1 million for a 45-minute show. Really? So for 45 minutes of, of doing the art that you've gotten so great at that people are willing to pay you $1 million for less than an hour, you threw all of that away over some drug money at some gas stations, trying to be prove that you with the streets and you this kingpin. You bugging, bro. Like, you're bugging. So I don't got no remorse. I don't got no sympathy. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not, you look at Hove, and Hove is a billionaire now, and Hove came from the same background as everybody. But Hove is more white collar than the white dudes right now. You know what I'm saying? He getting all that legit money, and he richer than everybody. So why couldn't that be your angle? You know what I'm saying? What are you trying to be, Pablo Escobar? I don't understand. Like, what are you trying to prove? What the Bernie Mac once said. Bernie Mac once said, and I'm gonna tie it to this, but he said, "I'm not trying to prove anything to nobody. I'm 42 years old. I fuck sex. I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'm 42 years old. You better get yours. What the fuck am I trying to prove here?" That's what it reminds me of. It's like, yo, you done made millions of dollars. What the fuck are you trying to prove? What are you trying? What? It's like the cost heavily, the pros heavily outweigh the cons. I don't get it.
Right.
I don't get it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and all this is allegedly, right? He hasn't been convicted, and
Nah, it's not looking. He down bad, bro. Let's keep
I'm
it.
I'm not saying that he's not, but we are publicly talking about something on a platform. This may go viral, it may not, but in case it does, everything you said was alleged, right? Because we don't know whether
allegedly he down bad. Put it down this way. He down bad allegedly. And this ain't no knock against him. I look, at first when he came out, I didn't understand him, and I thought his music was trash. But over the years, he's made music that that I rock with. I never bought an album, but I definitely got him on my playlist. I got tons of his music. I love a lot of his music, but just the decisions, I don't understand it. Like I don't understand. After I made my first $3 million, if I was that street dude, maybe I hit off each one of my boys with like a good 40, 50K and say, yo, try to start something. You know what I'm saying? Put yourself in position. But like, I got something else I got to do here, bro. And if you're not putting yourself in position, I got to let you go. Look at all the smart dudes, they do that, man. Look at 50 in G Unit, right? He still got people in G Unit that he rock with, like like he still rock with Tony Yayo from time to time. He still rock with Banks when they see each other or whatever. But There was when G Unit first came out, there was the street side. There was a bunch of the street dudes that was still rolling with 50. Like when he first was getting on. Like you look at his first video, the In the Club video, there was a lot of those dudes that was the ones really putting in the work. And then he got to a point where he was like, yo, those dudes are becoming liabilities because they still moving like we in the streets. So now you go off and you go shoot somebody in the hood. I'm off in London making $1 million, and you back in Queens and you go shoot somebody. They're gonna say, "Yo, 50 sent them." You know what I'm saying? They're gonna say, they're gonna attach you to me. So like, yo, I'm trying to talk to you, like, yo, saying like, yo, we can't move like that no more, and you're not listening. Then I gotta cut you off.
Right.
I gotta cut you off. And 50 ain't had no problem doing that. And look, he's still around 20 years later, right? Still making his money. And that's the thing that these dudes don't understand, bro. Like they still trying to keep that 1 foot in to prove that they this and they that, when it's like all you doing is costing yourself money and time.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Let's pivot a little bit. Let's see what other stories they got up here we want to talk about. Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So I was there was this thing that came up on my feed. Dana White slapped his wife, right? Over the holidays, right? So apparently they were in Cabo, and allegedly his wife slapped him allegedly, and he slapped her back allegedly. It's not funny, but what do you think? I mean, me personally, I think that's a personal family dispute that should be handled internally. I don't think it's anybody's business, but
it's everybody's business. I don't know what world you're living in.
What's your thoughts on that?
When you're a public figure, bro, it's everybody's business. In 2023, the world we live in today, everybody's in your business.
Right.
And so there is no such thing as privacy. There is no such thing as my family wants to handle this in a private matter, handle this private matter behind closed door. Nah. And first of all, a lot of these dudes put their business out in the street in the first place. And so, that's that. But Dana White, I see, the one thing about it is, bro, domestic violence is not something that I condone, right? But
I don't either.
But
I won't hit you. You don't hit me.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing with that, right? You see the part that now again, this is not a story that I read previously. You see the part of you saying that she allegedly slapped him first.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that because the clips that I've seen, the posts, the headlines that I've seen, it only says Dana White. You know what I'm saying? So it's his name plastered all over it, and I didn't even know that if it's domestic violence. I mean, could it be considered retaliation? Maybe, but the thing about it is, you only hear him and the side of the story that involves him getting physical. I knew nothing about, as far as the clips that I've seen, nothing has been said about the wife whatsoever. So they played out they played her to be the victim the whole way. And I'm not saying she's not a victim. I'm not saying he's a victim. But the thing about it is, it's just like, why is it that it's just automatically put on the man's doorstep or at his feet? You know what I mean? If it's a mutual domestic dispute and the cops show up, the man is automatically going in handcuffs. No questions asked.
Yeah.
No questions asked. Now, I saw a video not too long ago where this dude came home and he was coming home from work, and him and his wife or girlfriend, they got into an argument, and he took his, they have a child together, so he picked up his daughter and went into the room and locked the room, so the wife couldn't get into the room or whatever. So she spazzes out, she gets crazy, and she goes outside and she starts damaging the car. Now, this man still got his work uniform on. He's coming straight from work. Obviously, that's the family car. That's what he used to get back and forth to work. She goes out, she flats all the tires. She's like, oh, he ain't going nowhere. So he calls the cops. The cops show up. She's still flattening the tires. She's still doing it. And the cops are like, well, we can't really arrest her. We can't really, did she hit you? Did she do this? Did she do that? Or whatever the case may be. But the fact is, if the roles were reversed, that man would have been in handcuffs. That man would have been in handcuffs. If he's damaging her car, he's in handcuffs. So it's just like, a lot of the times, man, and I'm all for, fairness and stuff like that, but it's got to work both ways too. So, Dana White is going to get dragged. I mean, rightfully so. He participated in a domestic abuse, but when we look at just the scrutiny always falls on one side. I feel like we go back to Ime Udoka back in the summer. When all of that went down, we didn't even know who this chick was. We had no clue who this chick was till like weeks later. It was speculation about who it was and whose wife it was or whatever the case may be, but she was protected. And so by all means, man, it's like, if you're a man out there, just, and this goes out to Young Thug, this goes out to Dana White, protect yourself in all your situations, man, because you will be prosecuted in the law of public opinion way before the judge can ever get to you.
Yeah. So speaking of women and men and their, I guess, disagreements, I would say. So a woman's charged for repeatedly poisoning her husband.
Oh my God! Show the face.
No, what? You want me to put her on blast? Why should I?
Let me see this.
I'm protecting the woman. Let me stop.
I need to look at the eyes. Oh, jeez! That's what I was trying to see. Look at the eyes. Oh God! Woo! That woman. That's evil intent right there.
You think Lorena Bobbitt's eyes look like that?
I don't know, bro, but this she 50 years old and the dude is 70. Wow. That's
what happened when you try to get a woman 20 years younger.
No. That's not what happens when you try to get a woman 20 years younger. No. That's what happens when you get a woman with the eyes that look like that and you just ignore all the red flags. That's what happens.
Oh man.
I'm sure this is a woman that definitely looks like she would have given off red flag after red flag, bro.
But the thing is, he's 7 years old. He ain't died, man. Like, she repeatedly poisoned him. And he's like, I ain't going nowhere.
But you got what kind of
you got a 24-year-old.
Was she using?
You got a 24-year-old passing out after a hit. You got a 7-year-old getting poisoned. And he's like, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't ready to go.
What kind of weak ass poisoning is she using? Like, what is she doing? Like, she's got to be, the one of the dumbest criminals I've ever come across. How you fail so many times?
Oh man!
Like, you got so many cracks at it, and you just can't get right.
Oh, I mean, I'm glad he didn't die. He's still alive. 7 years old is a long time. Hopefully he gets another 30 years or so. Hopefully he divorces her. Some men don't know how to let go, so he may stay married to her.
I just think that he wilding out for like, those eyes say it all, bro. He ignored a lot of shit. That's not something that look didn't just happen yesterday, bro. She been looking like that.
Yeah.
He just ignored the red flags.
Yeah.
And men will do that, bro. Depending on we don't know what this dude look like, bro. We like that. Let's be honest here, bro. The prettier you are, the more craziness and bullshit we'll put up with.
That's
That.
very true. Listen, I'm not arguing against what you're saying.
We're all good.
I know what it is. There's some women that are pretty enough that if a woman that was half as pretty even thought about it, I'd be like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I don't know who you put in that category.
Bro.
But let's just say prime Halle Berry came across the room at a gala event, walked clear across the room, came up to you, slapped the shit out of you, and walked off. You're not gonna do shit about it.
Halle Berry would have got away with murder, bro, in public, and no one would have said nothing.
Prime Halle Berry.
Oh yeah, prime. No,
I'm not talking about 50-year-old Halle Berry right now. 50-year-old Halle Berry right now will get a bitch. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Now she'll still get away with some stuff. She still get away with more stuff than most chicks, bro. Stop it. Don't act like she busted at 50. She not.
Nah, come on. I mean, listen. 55-year-old Halle Berry is not 50, bro. Is not 28-year-old Halle Berry.
Very true. I'm not saying that she is, but don't act like she can't get away with some stuff.
I'm not taking a slap from Halle Berry at 55, bro.
No one said a slap, but she's getting away with some stuff.
Not a slap though. My comparison was a slap,
bro. And I'm saying she would still get away with some stuff.
So she would slap the shit out of you, and you would take it at 55. That's what you're telling me right now.
She's a senior citizen. What am I do? Swing on her?
I'm not saying I'm gonna go Hulk smash. That's not my that's not what I'm saying. I'm gonna look at her like, bitch, what the fuck wrong with you?
But one thing you gotta be is perspicacious, right? You gotta bob and weave. One thing that I always learned in New York, you gotta be ready, right? Whether you see it coming or not, you gotta bob and weave. Bob and weave. You gotta be moving around like this, and you see it coming with intent. Bob and weave.
Nah, but I'm saying if she walking over and she's 28 years old, you might be enamored by her walking over and let your guard down.
I'm still bobbing and weaving.
Mm-hmm.
I'm bobbing and weaving. Unless she's coming puckering up, I'm bobbing and weaving.
I think that like we in a society where like I don't know, men are taking more and more shit, and just like we just gotta take it at this point. It's like it's an uphill battle.
Well, listen, men get the brunt of life, right? So you just got to take the good with the bad, and we do have some advantages and we have some disadvantages, but never get disrespected, right? Make sure you keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you don't allow yourself to be disrespected.
Mm-hmm.
You want to get disrespectful, particularly women. Show them the door. You keep it moving.
So I'm hearing that a lot of women don't want men to hold doors open for them anymore, and it's like offensive. A lot of women can hold their own doors now. How do you feel about that? I mean, how do you feel about chivalry and how it's like been almost like put in the space where, so chivalry is like, all right, it's in a weird space, right? So if you do it, you're simping. But if you don't do it, then I guess you're chauvinist. I don't know. It's a weird space, right? It's like it's like I'm trying to figure out how dudes are how this is supposed to get navigated here.
Yeah. So, from my perspective, I would say women could always hold their doors. There's never in life been a time when a woman couldn't hold her own door. However, as men, I think we always understood the um, the difficulties that women always have had in terms of bearing children. And I think back in those days, sometimes when women were bearing children, a lot of times they didn't make it through childbirth. Um, Even though men fought the wars and went out to battle, we understood and valued what our women did and brought to us as men. And so we wanted to do the little things to make life easier for them, like providing, supporting, like protecting them at the cost of our own lives and, opening doors. And these days, some women feel that that's offensive. That's the kind of women that you want to stay away from if you see things differently, right? I think everyone has their own perspective. I don't know. I don't know that any one perspective is right over the next. But if you're the type of man that like opening doors, and a woman doesn't want you to open the door, don't open the door. Like it doesn't change anything for you, right? Be around the kind of people that value who you are and what you do. And that's how I would put it, right? Because you can't please everyone, so don't try. Um, you're never gonna make everyone happy, right? Be around people that are like-minded, just like you were saying earlier. You get to a certain level in life that the people around you just you just don't connect anymore, right? The way you're trying to be, what you're trying to do is just not a match with where you're trying to go. So you gotta let them go so that you can continue to grow, right? It's the same thing, right? So you can think the same concept that you mentioned earlier. It can apply to, friends, homeboys, guys that are friends. You can apply it to females, right? You can even apply it to family, right? So it goes, go stay around people that are like-minded, not people that just follow your every word just because you say it, but people that are thoughtful, people that you can grow with, people that understand your position, you understand theirs, and you can find common ground with to make things happen. So if a woman that I'm friends with or cool with doesn't want me to open her door, hold her door, fine. No big deal to me, right? I'm gonna be hanging out with the girl that doesn't mind that stuff, right? And doesn't mind what I like for women to do, right? So
Well,
that's kind of how I see it. Live and let live.
I agree with that, and I respect that perspective. Where I'm saying, I guess I'm looking at it from a 360 kind of lens, though. I'm looking at it from an angle of like navigating it through the dating world and navigating it through just everyday life. You walk into a store and a woman happens to be behind you. It used to be a thing. I like, you hold the door for her. No big deal. But also I'm talking now, this is from my own personal perspective as well. I got a daughter that I'm raising that's about to be a teenager. So like, what the hell am I supposed to teach her if we're teaching young men, if there's pushback on chivalry and there's pushback on how men and women are interacting, and I'm teaching my daughter to respect herself and hold herself to a standard where a man should open the door, a man should always open her car door, a man should always make sure that she's protected. If I'm raising my daughter in that fashion, I'm afraid that, by the time she gets to the age where, she's going to be looking for her partner or whatever the case may be, the mindset as far as dudes are concerned, because as men, we adapt, right? So one of the best things that we are good at is adapting. You throw us in a wild forest, and we'll figure out how to, put two sticks together and create a fire and cook us some crickets or something like that to eat. We'll figure it out. That's the thing about men. We'll adapt. So what a lot of things that I'm saying is that with this whole dynamic changing in terms of like this time period that we're in terms of what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. If you're raising a child, I think the message will get lost in translation, and it's going to be a confusing situation when she gets out into the dating world, and it's not anything that that you've taught her from since a young age. You understand? So it's like I feel like I'm preparing my daughter for a world that's not going to exist.
But I think it's all about choice, though, right? So she needs to recognize character in a man and choose wisely, right? Not all men are going to fall victim to the, I guess, feminist ideals. There's some men that are going to be raised to be chivalrous still.
Mm,
There will be. There will
I
be.
mean, because you got to think about it. Where are they getting this chivalry from? Because especially in our community, I'm just speaking for our community. 80% of children nowadays are out of wedlock and being raised in single parent households.
That may be. That
So
may be.
it's like, and you got to think about the people who are having these children and the way that the children are being raised. I don't think chivalry is at the top of that list. I mean, that's just being honest.
Yeah. I mean, I can see your perspective, but I think there's a movement to try to balance the scales a little bit. And so it's all about choice, right? As a female, your daughter will have the right and the ability to choose. And I think with you as a father, you're going to help her choose the right man that's going to be able to provide the kind of lifestyle that you think she deserves and the chivalry that she deserves. And so and that's the thing too. Like when I talk to women about men and choosing men and dating, I tell them, I'm like, we know men better than you know men, just like women know women better than we know women. Let your father, your uncle, your brother choose. Let them talk to them because they'll be able to tell you if he's,
We can
you
smell
know,
it.
yeah, we live it, we know it, right?
We
Like
can
so,
smell the bullshit.
right, right. So as long as they do that, I think they'll be okay, right? Because there's always going to be some dude out there coming talking game and whatever it is.
I mean, but here's the thing too, bro. Let's just be honest, right? So we always on our show we have conversations about like high value men and things like that, and the thing about it is in terms of like how high value men, because they're such a rare thing.
Mhm.
They have not, I don't want to say carte blanche, but they have certain
Options.
options available to them, um that average men or men of lesser means might not, right? So now we understand that concept very much. You know, for example, yourself and myself, we are both professional men. You know, we are in those circles. We know how we get down sometimes, or how we can get down. We understand that. So this is my conscience playing me again, saying it all goes back to, my young girl that I'm raising. So now that's going to be a hard pill to swallow, because obviously, I want best for my child, or whatever the case may be. And I've had conversations with her, even though she's really young. She's definitely someone who wants to have a family, and she sees how she grew up, and she wants, I guess, a dynamic of her own, or whatever the case may be, a family dynamic of her own. She wants kids and stuff like that. I've had that conversation with her. I'm going to have to be honest with her and say that if she does, ends up in a position where she is with a high value man in the future, that this could be a reality. Now I'm torn between, knowing how men are and how men operate, and wanting the best for my daughter. So the part that's tearing me, it's like, this inner battle is like, would I want my daughter to stay in that situation where she's with a high value man who's exercising options? I know I'm thinking way, way, way down the line. Well, not even way down the line. I mean, this is going to be a reality, but I'm just saying, these are thoughts that have crossed my mind, bro. I'm not going to lie. They have crossed my mind, and it's like, it's got me torn. Like, there's an inner struggle, because I know I'm going to look at whoever this young man is, and I'm going to be like, I know exactly what the fuck he's up to. And am I going to be in a position where I have to accept that for my daughter? Not what I would want ideally, but it's like, if she is in a position where she lands that type of man, you gotta, I mean, that comes with the territory.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that as a dad? You're a dad as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
So first thing I say is, not every man wants to be a high value man, and not every woman wants to be with a high value man, right? And so I don't know that that would be an issue that either of us would have to face. It just depends on the kind of guy that she wants to be. Maybe she just wants to be with an average guy, and he wants to be an average guy, and she just wants to be an average woman, and they just have an average life and raise a family, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? The dynamic that they choose is one that's hopefully that's best for them, that they're happy with.
I'll be
Not the
honest.
person.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. Not to cut you off, but I'll be honest. That's not really what the angle that I've instilled in my daughter.
That's fine.
I've always instilled my daughter to be an overachiever. To I've instilled in her to, like, go for the best.
That's fine. That's
Put
fine.
your best foot forward. Don't have to have anything. So I'm sure when it comes time for, I don't know, but I don't know. Like you said, I don't know what her choice will be, but if she's one of those people that looks to, have the best possible outcome as far as dating wise, she might be attracted to that. I don't know. Who knows?
Right. And the second thing is, um, if she's meeting someone that's truly high value, chances are he's going to be 10 to 15 years older than her, unless he's a professional athlete where he is, independently wealthy because of his exploits on the as an athlete, or a musician, or something that has them skip all the growing pains that most men have to go through before they can get to the point where they are at their peak earning potential. And so, you know, think about, if she's 22, she may end up with a 32, 37-year-old man if she's going to be with a man that's high value. Any man that she's dealing with that's going to be her age, he ain't going to be about nothing, right? And my third point is, you think about when we were that age and we had nothing. What were we doing?
What at what age? What, 22?
Yes, we were running amok, right? Running amok, like a muck, making a mockery of of life. I mean, so having said that,
It was also a different time, though.
bro, every time is different. Every decade is different. But one thing you'll figure out in every decade,
Is
the
there a
story
lot of
stays,
similarities? The story
yes,
repeats.
the story stays the same, right?
Mhm.
And so what I would say is, still instill what you're going to instill in your daughter, because as a parent, it's your prerogative to instill the values that you deem appropriate for her, and put her in a position to make her feel comfortable enough to come ask you for the kind of advice that she's going to need if she's going to be with a man that's going to be able to fulfill what you think that a man should fulfill as a husband to your daughter, right? One thing that I will tell my daughter is, don't wait till you're 30. Don't wait till you're 25. When you are at your peak beauty, when you are at your peak potential, if you find a man that is caring, has great character, um, he's able to protect and provide, um, and that man wants you to be his wife, make that happen. Don't wait till you're 30 and 35 and 37,
Mm-mm.
because once you start running up against father time, you know, it
Father,
becomes a lot more difficult, right?
Father Time is undefeated.
Father time's undefeated. And the thing is, for men, the clock doesn't necessarily work backwards, but we become more valuable over time based
Yeah,
on our,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
women, their value
So,
peaks.
yeah. So it's the interesting dynamic. And I was watching a podcast with a lot of interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
Tate was on there.
Mm-hmm.
But also on that same podcast, Brittany Renner. You know who that is? You know who that is.
Mm-hmm.
So Brittany Renner and Andrew Tate on the same podcast. Can you imagine? Oh, the fireworks. It was
There
great.
was no fireworks. They were loving each other.
No. But I mean, just the gems of information, like,
Right.
and just to see the looks on a lot of the women's faces when it was like, damn, he makes sense. You know what I mean? And especially Brittany Renner, she's been humbled. Life has humbled her a lot. Because she was talking reckless 5-6 years ago. She was, oh my God.
I didn't know who she was 5-6 years ago. I just heard about her this year. I was like, who the hell is this
No.
Brittany Renner?
She's
For a
been
while.
around.
For
She's
a
been
while.
around. I knew that name for a minute.
For a while, when I was hearing Brittany Renner, I was like, are they talking about Brittany Griner, the girl that's in jail? Like, I had no idea who she was, bro.
No. I knew who she was. She was definitely at her peak. She was a beast. Like,
Yeah, I believe it.
oh my God. She was just stuff that would come out this girl's mouth was just
So was Corinne Steffens. Corinne
took,
Steffens was a good originator.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what? With Brittany, it was a little different because Corinne, we saw that she was a broken girl. Even along her journey, she was admitting that she was a broken girl. But Brittany was the one who was like, nah, I want to do this. I am doing this, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're going to watch me do it, and I'm powerful because I can do it. That was her whole thing. She was just like, oh, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and there's nothing you guys can do about it, and that's just how I'm gonna move, and that's that. So anyway, I say that to say this, right? Andrew Tate said an amazing thing, and he goes, women are at their peak, you know, when they're 19, 21, 22, 23. You know, that's when they're at their peak beauty and they're getting all these DMs. They're getting invited on the yachts. They're getting invited into the VIP parties. They're getting all this attention from, you know, businessmen, athletes, whoever. If they're a beautiful girl, they're getting attention from the top men in the world, period. So that the same dude, you know, at 19, he ain't nothing. He can't roll up to the hottest chick and try to do it. He can't. He's not going to get no attention. So when a dude is 19, 20, 21, 22, he can't do anything. He can't go out. He can't get to the hottest clubs. He don't got no money. He's broke. He's living on only a measly few dollars. So he's not getting no attention from nothing, from nobody. But over time, what happens is, you know, it inverses. So now the dude at 28, 30, 31, 32, 33, now he's at 35. Now he's hitting his stride. He's been in it. If he was somebody who was working on himself, he's in his career for a couple of years now. He's starting to make a little bit more money. He's starting to move up in his career. Now he's hitting his peak at 35. If he's in shape and, you know, he's still able to keep a good physique. So, you know, he's still at an age where testosterone is still high and things are really looking up for him. Whereas as a woman, when you're 35, you're way past your prime because your prime was 19 through 24. You might still be a gorgeous 35-year-old, but now you're competing with the new 21-year-old girl. Now she's replaced you. And you at 35 and her at 21, she's you. She's you 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's like, that's the part that a lot of women don't understand is that, like, yo, it really works in reverse. Now, from age 35, that man has a window from 35 to probably about 50, 55. If he keeps himself in good shape and good, you know, health, and he's got money and everything like that, he's got a good probably 20-year window where he can date anything he wants. He can go up in age, he can go down in age, he can do whatever he wants. And because he's got the money, and if he's a single dude and he's a bachelor, he got money and he's got status, he could be 50 years old as long as he's, you know, he's in good shape and he looks halfway decent and he got some money. Yo, the 25-year-olds will be on him. The 28-year-olds will be on him. So why, if the dude is at 50, why in his right mind would he go for someone who's 50 just like him? And it's like, you know, it's going to be harder to deal with. It's like more demanding, more rules.
You know the funny
thing. You can't impress them because they've done everything.
You know the funny thing, right?
It's like women don't get it.
You know the funny thing is, right? A lot of the things, and Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuels never met, but they say a lot of the same shit in different ways.
It's true,
right? And so for me, when I look at it, bro, the way I determine whether I'm hearing bullshit or whether I am hearing something that makes sense is when I hear two different people say exact or very similar things that don't know each other. Whenever I want to go like get a second opinion from a doctor, from a mechanic, I would just go to them and say, hey, this my car's having this problem. Tell me what's wrong. And I go to another person. I'm like, hey, my car's having a problem. Tell me what's wrong. If they both say two different things, then I'll go to a third person and I'll see if that third person says something similar to whichever one
of them.
Right. And that's who I go with. Right. And so, and I go to the first one that told me the same thing as the third person. Right. Because to like that's how you assess people. That's how I assess people at least, right? And so hearing the and even if you listen to Jordan Peterson says a lot of the same thing. And you have one white guy from Canada, you have one black guy from Oklahoma, right? That's 50 years old. Jordan Peterson is probably maybe in his 60s. And then you have Andrew Tate, who is a mixed race guy, right? That's been all over the world. And these three people have never met, but they say things very, very, very similar. And these are just three people, right? However, a lot of what they say, I've been thinking these thoughts for years.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's the thing. That's because it's a natural male instinct. And it's
Mhm.
like these
Not for
guys are
all males, though. And not for all males.
that's true. That's true. That's true because um a lot of men have been feminized, bro. A lot of men have been feminized, and it's that goes deeper. That goes back to what I was saying with the single parent households, and a lot of these dudes are growing up with just women in the house, bro. And
Well, Kevin Samuels grew up with just women in the house. Andrew Tate did too. I mean,
uh
his father was around, but his father was a Rolling Stone in a way because he was always out playing his chess tournaments. So he spent most of his time with his mom. But what his father did do when he came around, his father gave him pearls and words of wisdom
that's the
that
thing.
kept his mind going.
And you know how kids are, man. I mean, I know how I was as a kid. I observed, bro. I
Mhm.
observe everything. So even if he's not around, a dad doesn't have to be around in the house, up under his kids 24/7 for them to pick up on his mannerisms and
That's
how
true.
he handles things and how he carries himself as a man. The little time that they do have together, they'll
Mhm.
kids will absorb that and pick that up. They'll pick that
Yeah.
energy up.
Yep. That's
And
true.
and if he's being true to himself and being consistent whenever he is around, and he's one way every time, then you're going to pick up on his mannerisms. You're going to understand. So when he speaks, it's going to be more of a powerful thing because it's
Right.
like he doesn't speak much,
Right.
and it's
Yeah. It looks like the system took a turn for the worse. So we've been on here for a while talking, bro. Let's go ahead and end the stream. We've been on for about an hour and change. I think it was a good conversation, though. I think it was
yeah, it definitely
good.
was.
I like the cadence. I think what we need to do is get a better intro for Juby View. You know, I think the conversation we need to get more refined with the conversations. Come through it. I think going through the stories are kind of funny, but so yeah, it was cool. Anyway. Anyway, Roland Jean Charles, 1/3 of the Jew Review crew.
Ken Jean Pierre, 2/3 of the Juby View crew.
And next time we probably, well, no, we're not gonna have Harold next week because next week is the 12th. He ain't coming back until probably late next week. So we'll probably get him the week after. But anyway, we out.
Deuces.